the more I focus on code, the less I move the needle. So I'm not going to increase traffic. I'm not going to increase your rank by focusing on code. Instead, the more I focus on content and backlinks, the more I see the needle move, which what I mean by the needle is that you get more traffic from Google and Bing, and that thereby you get more sales.
Welcome to the Shweiki Media Expert Webinar Series, where we team up with leading marketing and publishing experts to provide you with tips and best practices to help you grow your business and stay on the cutting edge. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Paul Kortman, and Paul is the owner of Connex Social, a digital marketing agency specializing in increasing conversions and increasing quality traffic. He is the father of 4, husband of 1, world traveler, and self-proclaimed certified nerd. Paul's committed to accomplishing clients' business objectives through solid strategy and on-time tactics every time. And today we are going to be talking about how to market your small business in today's digital space, and this is part 1 of 2. Paul, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that a lot of marketing tactics and strategy and advice is out there, and sometimes it feels like it's always talking to the enterprise person and people in these really large companies. So I know there's going to be a lot of marketers and small business owners who are going to be very interested in finding out how which tactics they can apply. So very interested in digging into this, as I know it's your specialty. But before we get into specifically small businesses and tactics and strategy for them, would just love your take in general on your experience, and if you think that digital marketing, online marketing is a good way to go for the small business owner, and if so, why? And on that note, Paul, I know this is not a one-size-fits-all answer, so just do your best there.
Yeah, the one caveat I would say is if you have a very location-dependent business, you're located in a strip mall and you need people from the nearest 30 miles to come to you, it's very different than if you just have a small business that's selling products online, but you're trying to, increase that or something. They're very different in that sense of trying to get people from a 30-mile radius to show up at your store versus selling online and whatnot. So most of my small business clients are the ones that sell online. And take a step back and think about it. People are willing to pay a lot for a specific product. I have one of my clients, he makes dock boxes. So these are fiberglass boxes that go on the dock next to your slip or your sailboat or whatever you have. And these are 8-foot-long dock boxes, and they cost $500 just to ship them. The product itself costs $800, and he's increasing sales every month via the website. He doesn't have a brick and mortar store, so think through, you may be a small business, you may have a brick and mortar store, but if you step back and say, what if people would buy this online? What would that look like? And then digital marketing totally applies to you. If you're a brick and mortar and you need butts and seats, as we like to call it, or feet in the door, then you should really focus on local SEO and local marketing. And that doesn't always mean social media. That doesn't always mean video marketing. You can use it, but you need to consider more along the lines of what works best for your local market. And so it's a much more of a challenging thing, because if you wanted to go viral nationwide, hey, that's great, but it's not going to help you actually have people show up at your store. So how do you go virally locally? And that's more of a challenge.
Gotcha. Yeah, so there's obviously the answer overall is yes. Now, there's plethora of different types of digital advertising or digital tactics that you can apply, and you basically said, hey, the answer is yes, but depending on what you're selling, how you're located, what you're all about, there's going to be different tactics that you might want to apply, which makes a whole lot of sense. and we'll get into those specifics because people are like, okay, what about me? Okay, so starting point. Once a business owner, they start a new business or they're in marketing and they're wanting to kind of get into the digital space and the digital age, what are some of the actions, as well as what are some information, these companies and marketers and business owners need to obtain in order to put themselves pointing down the right path, or even knowing which right path to go down to?
I wouldn't ever have considered starting here and explaining this, but it came up in a conversation just last week or the week before where somebody said, do I even need a website in 2017? And I was floored by the question, like, as a business owner, why wouldn't you have a website? Like, what in the world? And they were saying, between Google Local Business and Facebook page, there's no need for a website. And I argued 100% against that you totally need your own website. And that would be your first starting place. Is the focus for everything will be to eventually get people to your website and then to encourage them to take the next step. But what you need to do is take a step back and say, it's basic marketing tactics, so this is not new to the digital era, but who is your target audience? Not just like males between the ages of 25 and 35, but where do they spend their time online? What devices do they use? How often are they online? What is their purpose for being online? Sure, they're on Facebook, but why are they on Facebook? Because a grandmother on Facebook versus a 20-something on Facebook, they're there for different reasons. And so, like, trying to get in the head and develop a persona of your target audience to know what it is they're doing, why they're doing, and where you would be able to find them. So that's the first step in any marketing, is to know your target audience and to actually go and investigate them, talk to them, learn from them, ask them all kinds of questions. And then the second step is making sure you have what I call pain point nailed. So whatever product or service you're selling, so let's take the all-natural health food store. Are you selling, you're not selling anything that's going to make them more money. You're not selling anything that's necessarily going to save them money. In fact, it's actually going to cost more for them to buy organic. But what is the pain point that they're concerned about? What are they really afraid of or concerned about? What would motivate them to purchase from you? And it's about their health. Like, live longer, live better. Those are the solutions that you're providing to the pain point of, live toxin-free, that sort of thing. And so you have to know your target audience. You have to know their pain point. What would motivate them to purchase from you? And then you have to develop a sentence or a phrase as short as possible that answers that. So like I had already said, like, live toxin-free is the solution to a pain point of, I'm afraid of toxins in my food or in my life. Well, live toxin-free is kind of, I wouldn't call it a slogan, but it's your marketing angle that you can start with. So those are the first three areas that I always start with. I don't start with Facebook. I don't start with, okay, how are you going to get traffic to your website? You do need a website, but you need to know your target audience. You need to know why they would ever buy from you. What's their pain point? And you need to know, I'll give you another example on pain point. There's a general watch, like a Casio watch. The pain point is, I just need to have a watch on my wrist that tells me the time. I need to know what time it is. That's the pain point. The more expensive Rolex and beyond is more of a status symbol. I need to show others that I care and spend a lot of money on my timepiece. And so they're different pain points. The guy who buys a Rolex doesn't care necessarily that he knows what time it is. He needs to make sure, it's a status symbol. It shows other people where he's at, or it looks good, or it makes him feel good. Those are the pain points, not know what time it is all day, every day. Mm-hmm. So depending on the level of product that you have, those pain points can be very different, even though they're the same product, same solution. And then, so anyways, just recapping, know your target audience, make sure you know their pain point, and then drill down your solution to a sentence or a phrase as short as possible.
Okay. Now, you've said short as possible. Do you have any parameters there? Are we looking at 3 words, 5 words? What are you thinking? Because I do know because that's going to dictate your various advertising opportunities, be it retargeted banner ads, which you have very limited space. If you do social advertising, again, you need to get right to the point, at least on the headline. So I see where you're going with that, but do you have any guidelines for that at all?
Just make it a simple sentence or a simple phrase. It doesn't even have to be a full sentence, but you want to make it, I call it the 3-second pitch. We're all used to, the 30-second elevator pitch or whatever. But what could you say in 3 seconds? And so if there's a comma and a period and another sentence, you can't get that all in 3 seconds. But what is it that you can say in 3 seconds that, really cuts the mustard, tells everybody what you offer and what pain point you solve? Or at least gets heading down that direction. It's not necessarily something you would tweet out by itself, but, maybe it's aspirational, like, wouldn't you love to travel the world? Okay, well, I can say that in 3 seconds, and that's, short enough. So
yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, very similar to the
4 words.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, let's say very similar to the 3-second rule when somebody goes to your website. So this is going to be top fold of your website. When people go, they need to know in 3 seconds what the heck you're about. And you need to get that point across literally in 3 seconds, like at most. So, okay, now let's circle back around. Now, a lot of the, personas, pain points, big companies, obviously they have their other challenges and, stuff to worry about that are, bigger deals, but they sometimes have it a little bit easier when it comes to this stuff. They get to utilize a lot more data. They get to utilize a lot more resources. But for the small business, they're like, okay, great. My personas and pain points and, finding out which platforms my clients live on. How could one, get this information, pull this information out, researching the market? What have you seen, small business owners on limited budgets do to figure this stuff out?
Well, you either have time or you have money. And if you don't have money, then you got to use your time. And if you don't have time or money, what are you doing trying to start a business? The thing that I try to encourage people is you can save money by putting time into this effort. And that is talking to people who are in your target audience. Pick up the phone and call. Go to the mall. Go visit somebody at a conference or whatever. Like if you don't even know where to find your target audience in a physical space or whatnot, then you're in trouble. You need to be able to find out who's a potential audience member. Like have 3 or 4 qualifying questions. Go to the mall, find somebody who fits the demographic, and then ask those 3 or 4 qualifying questions. Like, if it's they have to have an iPhone because you sell an iPhone case. Okay, well, that's an easy question. Hey, do you own an iPhone? Yes or no? Okay, yes, I do. Okay, now you're in my target audience, and I can ask you more questions just to get to know you, to get that persona, that demographic put together. You can do some research online to find out what good questions are. The lean startup methodology is the one that I subscribe to. Steve Blank also has very good information about this. Customer discovery is his thing. And so you can research that and come up with example questions or sample questions that you should ask these folks. And don't just hand them a piece of paper and ask them to fill it out. Talk to them. And the 5 minutes you spend talking to one person will get you way more information than 30 pages of data that you can buy from some data provider. Seriously, talking to these people, acknowledging their humanness, realizing that, hey, your initial suspicions that they would love to buy your case is totally wrong. And so this also really hones your salesmanship, because even though it may kill you to do that, like I don't want to talk to people and try to force a cell phone case down their throat, by talking to them, you find out what the pain points are. You find out why they wouldn't, or if the pricing is too high or low, or all this. Or you practice selling the features. Why is your case any better than what they already have? And so, like, there's all kinds of different things here that just come into practice that you could spend years trying to hone on an ad or on a website landing page that you can solve in one evening by going to the mall, talking to your target audience, and finding out, wow, my assumptions were exactly right or way off, or I need to tweak it this way, or it's not, the sales pitch isn't working very well, or whatever it is. You need to figure that all out, and you can do that in one day. Just find where your target audience hangs out.
Or, you know, if you are in business, talk to your customers, right? You know, that's another really good place. And if you have a good enough relationship, talk to the people who didn't buy from you as well. And on this note, I'd like to plug somebody who's really versed at building personas. It's Adele Ravella from Buyer Persona. Just go to buyerpersona.com or buy her book. I read it twice, and it really gives you some insight on, you know, which questions to ask, how to framework it, and then to get down to, this will end up spitting out your target persona that you're going after, along with pain points and the whole work. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she's an amazing resource as well. But yeah, I hear you. You're either going to have big data, big money, big budget, or you're going to have time, and you need to put the effort in. And that's just, all those big businesses probably started there as well. You know, you got to start somewhere. So if you don't have the budget, you should have the bandwidth. If you don't have either, well, hopefully your bandwidth is spent bringing in lots of sales. All right, so now let's get to the good stuff here. Would love for you to talk about some good ways small businesses can market themselves in today's digital space. So I'd like for you to kind of go over as many as you can today, and like I said, we'll be doing a part 2 because I know there's a ton to talk about. But yeah, why don't you give your take, and then also maybe as you give these different tactics, talk about like the kind of business that this might be good for.
Right. So the first one that we're going to cover is SEO, and the reason why is because I love SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's how to show up in Google search results or Bing search results. And there's so many things that change and tweak and adjust. One of the things right now that is still somewhat unknown as to the impact it's going to have on the market is all these voice searches that we're doing now through Alexa, through your Siri, through your Google phone. Like, people are using voice search more and more. I'm not, because I don't know, I guess I'm old school now. Suddenly the market just passed by. But it is moving more and more towards voice search, and that, watching that and saying, okay, how are the search engines going to rank websites and answers and provide answers as quick as possible to those who are doing voice searches? And so now we're not dealing with typos, we're dealing with mispronunciations completely. So, like, what is it, how, what if Siri got it wrong or Alexa heard it wrong, and, your target phrase that somebody might be searching, like new iPhone case, might not be the right thing. That, it might come across as new phone case or new iPhone in case. And it's like, well, okay, so now suddenly all these words are jumbled up and interesting, and what are we going to do? So I say all that just to whet your appetite a little bit on what's coming and on the future of SEO and search engine optimization and all of this. But I take a step back and say, for the last 20 years, roughly, since Google has been in existence, Google killed off all the other search engines, and now any search engine that starts up today, they're basically based on the same principle that Google is. They're looking for authority, and they're looking for content that you actually have, that you're going to answer the searcher's questions. So when somebody types a search into Google, they have a question, they have a query that they're looking to get answered. And Google is trying its best at providing that answer even right on Google's page in their search results from Wikipedia or from, whatever else. And so like you can search, who coached the Denver Broncos in 1984, and it will put the name of the coach right there, so you don't have to do another click. And that's Google's way of trying to get you your answer faster. So what we want to do as small businesses is say, how can we play within the rules? How can we get it so that Google knows that we're the authority for whatever market space we're talking about and for the area that we're talking about? And it's not really a dirty secret, but there's like, you can go and take courses on Udemy, you can go and learn all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's really, there's three main buckets that all of this falls into. Whether you're dealing with local SEO, so those businesses that just deal with a 30-mile range, or national or international SEO, it really comes down to these three buckets. Now, those three buckets are content, so the words on the page, number of backlinks or authority signals, so who's talking about you, who's linking to you, and then the third bucket is your code or your structure of your website. And most SEOs, most people when they talk search engine optimization, they'll focus on that third bucket. But I argue a different way around this and just say, listen, well, they'll focus on content on your page, making sure that you're keyword optimized, but then they'll also focus on code and make sure that your code is structured well and whatnot. Google has come a long ways at being able to get through any of the code issues that you might have. So for small businesses, and I've been doing this for 10 years and watching that the more I focus on code, the less I move the needle. So I'm not going to increase traffic. I'm not going to increase your rank by focusing on code. Instead, the more I focus on content and backlinks, the more I see the needle move, which what I mean by the needle is that you get more traffic from Google and Bing, and that thereby you get more sales, or whatever it is your conversion metric is, leads, sales, email addresses, however you want to look at that. So what we need to do is find a way for you as a small business owner to be able to generate content that applies to your target audience. Now, take a step back. I don't mean keyword focus. So say you sell Nike shoes. And so you can write all you want to about Nike shoes, but it gets old after a while. Your target audience isn't well, it depends. Nike shoes, they might be really passionate about it, but there
No, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Act like you have another brand of shoes. A local brand.
Yeah. And so they're not like super passionate about just that. A segment of them are, but the majority of them aren't, and the people who aren't buying from you aren't. And so they don't really care about you visited the factory in China or whatever. Like they just want a pair of shoes that meets their requirements or whatever. However, they care about basketball, or they care about running, or they care about health. And so there's no reason why you can't write content that applies to your target audience that isn't about your product. Some of my favorite websites that I'm subscribed to and I pay a lot of money to for their products is because they know me as an individual, as a small business owner, and their content is always like writing reviews on online to-do list managers. And so like I'm like, oh, devour that content and all that because it's really good, even though their product has nothing to do with to-do lists. Their product helps me become a better developer, coder, or something, and they're talking about to-do lists. So, that sort of concept of write content that your audience is going to love, okay, that people are going to share, that they're going to talk about, that they're going to love. And then the second step of that is reach out to people who have websites who should link to that content, who have audiences who should know about that content. Most often we think of bloggers as being the easiest audience because they're constantly producing new content, but so are other small business owners who are trying to write blogs. And you can reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love for you to grab a couple of paragraphs off of this article I just wrote about health, because I think it would also apply to your audience. But when you do, just say you can read more at and the link goes back to your website. So you can leverage your local network, your friends, your other small business owners, any other blogger. You can do Google searches, find people who are writing about similar topics, reach out to them, email them, hit them up on Twitter, whatever you need to say, hey, could you, link back to this? I feel this is a really great article and I want to get the word out there. That's actually what we do for our clients. And that within 6 months, that significantly moves the needle. Depending on how well you do at this, you can see a doubling of your traffic. We have one client, I mentioned the dock boxes. He's seen his sales actually increase by 3-fold. So, all from doing just that strategy there.
How often are you putting out that content?
For him, we're doing once a month. And so, I always recommend, having something going out on a weekly basis. I know it's a stressful thing and it's hard to put something out and whatnot. And it could be super simple as a paragraph or just a live video from Facebook or, whatever. Capture a video of yourself talking, upload it to your blog. You've got something there. However, I've kind of pulled back from that a little bit and said quality. The quality of your content, the value of your content is way more important than quantity.
And a big part of that is so other people will want to pick it up and want to utilize it, correct?
Exactly. If you had a personal following, like people really wanted to know what you ate for breakfast today, then sure, post a lot of information ad nauseum about your daily activities and about sales and about business and whatever. But most people don't have that. Most people have, an audience who cares about something that really impacts their life. So write something that's really going to impact their life and only publish once a month. Only publish once every 2 months if it has to be that way. But then spend a lot of time. We talk about the Pareto rule, the 80-20 principle. Spend 20% of your time creating the content, but it's going to take a lot of time to create that because it's got to be good and quality and impact somebody's life. And then you spend 80% of the time, once it's published, talking to people about it, reaching out to them, emailing them, reaching out to them on social media, posting it on forums, posting it on Facebook groups, and trying to tell everybody about this really incredible article that you put a lot of time and effort into. But now you're going to spend, 4 times as much effort reaching out and marketing that piece of content than you did actually writing that piece of content.
Well, let's touch on that. Like, how people might be hearing, well, that sounds great, but geez, man, I can't think of the places to go that might be interested in my stuff. Like, how can you give some direction there?
Well, Facebook groups are huge. Like, first of all, let's just start there. Facebook groups, you can find tons of groups on any topic, and most of them are not marketing friendly, but what you can do is reach out to the admin and say, hey, can you please, private message them, hey, can you please read this article? I think it would bring value to the group, even though, this group isn't marketing friendly. Can you advise what I should do? And I find 9 times out of 10, those admins, if it's a good article that's not salesy, but it's like just bringing value to the table, 9 times out of 10, those admins will say, yeah, let's post that. That's good.
So you just share it with them on a private message, say, hey, I have this, I know this, group has an interest in this. Just check it in to see if you think this would be valuable information for them to know, and just keep it like that, correct or incorrect?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Say I respect your group and your rules, and I want to make sure that I'm safe. Can I post this? Do you think this would provide value to the audience?
And for people really just getting into this, just quickly explain, how do you find and search for different various Facebook groups?
Facebook kind of fails at search in general, but you can go, either on your mobile device or on Facebook on your laptop. There's a search bar at the top, and you can search topics. So iPhone, Mac, sports shoes, basketball, health, yoga, stuff like that. And then there's a tab at the top that you can, or it might be on the left side now, that you can switch over to just groups as your results. And it will show you all kinds of groups that have that name in it, And once you start joining a bunch of groups around a specific topic, like let's say yoga, Facebook will actually advertise to you other yoga-related groups, and suddenly you'll find yourself a member of 100 different yoga-related groups, which is fine because, hey, that's your target audience, and you're consuming what they're consuming, and you're able to share your great content with them as well.
Okay. And I believe there's also a couple starting points for SEO, just to get in the game for local businesses with the local listings and citations. Would you agree to that? Like that's a standard, like you got to get that done very first before you can hope to rank. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no. Like citations will put you on the map and that sort of thing, and they're, you can do a Google search for local SEO. My favorite is moz.com. They have this, like, I don't know, 30-page guide to local SEO, and it's really great because it's a step-by-step process of where you just go through the whole process, get your citations in place and whatnot. It really depends on your competition. If you're in the middle of Iowa, your competition's not going to be that rough, and so it won't be hard for you to show up on a Google Maps search. If you're gonna, if you're in Manhattan and you're a new turkey sub shop, like, good luck. It's going to take a while, and so like there's a lot of factors there. But if you follow those basic steps, getting those citations, getting listed in directories, that really helps on the SEO, on the local SEO side. And by local SEO, there's two ways to look at that. One is if they type in, their problem statement or their query or whatever they're looking for, like coffee shop, and then they type in a location. My favorite, there's lots of different places that you wouldn't know unless you lived there that neighborhood was called that. So, for example, in Michigan, where I'm originally from, on the west side, we refer to Michigan. So I wouldn't search around a specific city. I would say, best sporting goods store in West Michigan. And if you didn't write about that, if you don't have those words on your pages, if you don't have those words in your directory listings, that sort of thing, you're just focused on the city name, then you're going to get missed out because, the vernacular of the people is to use, West Michigan or South Side.
I cannot agree with you more there, Paul. And this is actually something, we've been doing this for a long while now, and it's something that's actually recently just dawned on me through actually living and seeing what's actually happening out there with searches. People absolutely positively type in north, south, east, and west, and maybe downtown. So you kind of have 5 parameters within a decent-sized city. If it's a smaller city, maybe not. But for a decent-sized city, yes. I mean, that happens a ton. And you are going to want to optimize, obviously, with your listing citations. Your zip code will be there, which helps. But the general parameters of north, south, east, west of a city, I cannot agree with you more. That's a phenomenal point. I'm glad you brought it up because it is a way to dominate a quarter of the city, which is not nothing. So very, very awesome point because we're seeing that happen, and we actually just started doing it for one company, and they were like, same kind of company, different part of the city. It was like, oh my goodness, it's taking off more for them because, in their name has the word South. So we've just naturally have been optimizing for that, not just because of that, just because every time we mention their name, we're using the South word. And they started a few months after we did one in the north part of the city. And now we're like, oh, that's huge. And then once you dig into the actual details and, you go through a Moz or, Keyword Explorer or whatever, data you're using to see what people literally are searching for, you're going to notice that. And we've noticed it a lot. So that's a great point. So definitely when you're looking to tag your site, and there are a lot of technical details here. It's just going to be hard for, a non-technical person to take care of all the small details. So you might need to, have somebody to help out that has more of that expertise. But when you're doing it, take that piece of advice into strong consideration when you're looking to optimize your site and what for you're doing. Well, awesome. All right. Do you have anything else to add here before we move on to your next tactic?
Nope, that's it for now. I mean, there's, we can talk for 4 days on
Yeah,
SEO,
we can.
but this is good.
Yeah, we really can. But I think you gave some good parameters, and I think we gave some other good resources for people to check out. But yeah, I'm in definite agreement with everything that you say. If you talk to any SEOer that does not mention the word content, hang up the phone, because it's a trapdoor, and you're gonna pay for it sooner or later. All right, moving on. What do you got for us next?
Well, the next thing is email, and it's not email marketing essentially, and it's not newsletter marketing. So I wish that people would stop thinking I need to send out a newsletter, or I need to do some newsletter marketing or whatever. You need to have more of the concept of a single focus in an email. When you write an email to a person and you're trying to get them to do something or to take action or whatever, you have a single focus in that email. Look at the majority of the emails that you're writing on a daily basis, and for business or personal, it's going to have a single focus. So why is it that suddenly we now think, well, when it's coming from a business, I need to write a newsletter that has 6 different topics in there and a bunch of junk on the sidebar? It's just overwhelming. Separate that. It's hard to come up with a newsletter. It's hard to build all that together, and just say, I'm going to send out an email to my list with this specific topic in it. And whether it's, hey, I just posted this really great blog post about yoga, or I just read this really great blog post about yoga, you should go check it out. You want them to see you as an incredible source of great content or great information, not just, hey, buy my yoga mat, buy my yoga mat, buy my yoga mat. Here's a discount, here's a discount, here's a discount. So think through how you can use email marketing to stay on top of their mind for when they're wanting to go buy your product. You want them to think your brand, and not just like, I want to look at a yoga mat, where should I go? You want them to think XYZ yoga mats, that's the only place I'm going to go. And why? Well, because I've seen them every month in my inbox. I love the content that they're producing. I love the philosophy of their company, or whatever it is that they're going to love about you. Not just, hey, I got a coupon for XYZ, so I'm going to go there. The other thing is to realize that, and I failed at this, even though I'm in marketing and I'm telling everybody to build your email list, I realized that I've completely failed at this. One of the easiest things to get from somebody is their email address. And if you can get their email address, by offering them whatever, a free ebook, a 10% off coupon, or whatever it is you want to do, a free consulting call, or who knows what, you can build this list rather quickly and have a large list of subscribers that you, not really that you can control, but that you can say go, and they will go do something. It gives you a lot of sway and a lot of leverage to help. So, for example, in your link outreach, you're reaching out, for SEO, you're reaching out to the company and you're saying, hey, I really want you to link back to me, and what I'll do for you as a favor is I've got 1,000 people who click on a link when I send an email to them, and I will send them an email talking about your company. It doesn't cost me any money. I get to talk about another great company in town, and you put a link on your website back to me. We scratch each other's itch. Suddenly you have leverage because you have a large list. And what is large? Well, it really depends on your market and your target audience and all that as to your numbers. But once you hit 1,000 on an email list, you have some power, and you can do some things and sway people. And so, yeah, I definitely talk about, do what you can to get that list built up, and that would be on almost every page of your website, especially your homepage. You should have a form right there with a call to action that helps them give you their email address, and then have some sort of automated system that sends them out 7 different articles or 7 different emails, just so that you stay top of mind, for the first week of somebody who was at your website. And then you have a system where you're sending out an email a week or an email a month, It's just like that blogging idea of the quality is way more important than the frequency or what specific day of the week you're sending on. If you send high quality content that make people want to hit the reply button or want to click on a link, then you know you're winning. And that's kind of like the message I want to get out to all the SMEs out there is like, listen, you just need to write less frequently but better on your email marketing and stick to a single focus. Like today, I want to tell you why you should do XYZ, and then write 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 paragraphs about it, and at the end, now go do XYZ. And you will see that people will devour it, will love it, will give you feedback, and it will become an integral part of your business.
All right. Now, you mentioned not like in a newsletter, but you, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I heard what you really were saying, like what people traditionally think of an e-blast or a newsletter, which is, hey, look at me, we have a sale, here's the discount, buy my stuff. You can do a newsletter that repurposes, and the whole deal about it is your high-quality content that you're sending out. Do you agree with that, or did you?
I hate the term newsletter because that makes it feel like you have to have multiple articles in there and kind of layout and a template and all this. And I want people to move away from that and say, sure, you can repurpose your content. I do all the time of like, here, go check out my blog article on this. But stick to one simple one. Don't talk about 3 different blog articles unless here's a series about health or here's a series about yoga or whatever, and there's 3 different parts to it. Sure, yeah, then that makes sense. But I don't want you to have, you know, an article about drinking water, an article about yoga, and an article about gardening all in one email. It just like, you know, stick to a single purpose. Yeah, you can pass discounts out through email. It's a great way to leverage your traffic or to leverage your audience and move them to take action. But, you know, the goal is to provide more value than just discounts. The goal is to provide more value than just, hey, look at me, I'm so great. What is it that would really help your audience? And I've seen bloggers actually move from blogging to just blogging via email. So like if you're talking about, hey, here's a struggle we're having today, or, you know, here's the current update on our remodel process or the construction going on outside our building, go ahead and take those pictures and post that to your email because that connects you with your audience more. It's not really blog worthy, but it is great over email because, hey, they're interested in you and whatnot. So newsletter is just it's down to terminology and semantics, but, you know, I want people to move away from that concept and just say, I have a single point and I'm going to send an email for that point, whether it's the discount, whether it's to tell about a sale, whether it's to, you know, whatever it might be, to provide value into their lives, to tell them about something cool. Those are all really beneficial, but not this newsletter if I'm going to cram everything into one email.
Gotcha. And you kind of briefly touched on like creating a series of emails. That's called automation. That's what you hear. Well, it's part of what marketing automation is. For people who aren't familiar with that, you're not sure if your own email provider currently provides that, to your provider and ask them, hey, how do I set up a series of emails or an automated series of emails, and they can walk you through doing that, and or you might need to utilize a different email service provider. But it is a great way when somebody signs up, then you could create a little sequence that you don't have to literally send every email. It will do it for you once you create the sequence. So for the listeners out there, you know, that's what that is. So you're just going to need to see if what you're currently using does that, because some of them do, some of them don't. All right, for the sake of time here, Paul, let's just cover one more topic, and then we will pick everything back up with you next time.
Yeah, and so I want to give one more pitch on that last one for MailChimp. I just found out that MailChimp gives their automation for free now. Used to you have to pay for an upgrade to your account to get to MailChimp, to their automation. But if you have less than, I think it's 2,000 subscribers, you can use MailChimp for free.
Oh, wow.
And they now provide automation for free at their free level. So like, hello, like that's just super fantastic. I personally can't use them because I'm banned from them because I spammed too many times using them. That's a different story.
That's a long time ago, I hope.
It was. I don't use that tactic anymore. The next one is PPC, pay per click, or otherwise known as search engine marketing or online advertising. I lump all of these into one because it's the basic concept of I'm going to put money out there to buy an ad on a platform. And that ad will drive traffic to my website or wherever I dictate, and I'm looking to receive value from that. Typically, it's an email address, and I'm going to offer them something in exchange for that email address. Or, you know, some clients with an e-commerce site, you know, it's just a direct sale. Like, I'm going to advertise my product. You're going to come to my website, make a purchase. We're all good. So online marketing or online advertising, and it's huge. The two biggest players are Facebook and Google, and there's a couple of different concepts you need to know. One is Google is for, you know, more purchase intent. They're searching for a pain point. They're searching for a solution to a pain point, and you can provide that to them. And ads are an easy way to get there. You can target it really local, or, you know, say like you're trying to have your salesman in Minnesota develop a better book of business. You can target all of Minnesota or whatever. And so, like, these are really great opportunities to find people who want your solution and who are in a specific location or broadly across the nation. The other side of that is Facebook. They're not actually searching on Facebook, so you can't say, well, if somebody's looking for, you know, deck treater, I want to show an ad to them on Facebook. It's not that simple. You need to find people who, you know, what are their interests? What do they like? Do they like Rolex watches? Do they like Apple products? Do they like going to the movies? What is their, you know, persona? And then show your ad to them, but realize that they're, you know, generally people on Facebook aren't trying to solve a problem. They're just chilling. And so it's more aspirational. Like, hey, do you want to have a great deck for the 4th of July party? Or, hey, summer's coming, get everything spruced up outside with our gear, you know, or whatever. And so they're not actively searching, but you make a pitch to them, and suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, I do need to get out and work on my lawn or my deck or, you know, whatever, get ready for the 4th of July party. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit behind, but you get the concept. What is it? Labor Day is coming up. So, you know, for the Labor Day party, what is it that we need to do for that? So when you're coming and approaching these ads, there's all kinds of factors, and it gets really complicated and down into the weeds really fast. But if you look at it at that level of Google and search focused are, you know, they're looking to solve a specific pain point. Facebook and other, you could call them other banner ad systems or sites or whatever, they're looking to, you know, to be more ethical. What is it that they desire to do? What is it that they long to do? How can your products solve whatever aspirations they have? But for both of them, there's actually a third, and we'll come to that in a minute. But for both of them, you're going to bring them to a landing page, to a site that has a singular focus, that you're trying to get them to take one more action, one more step in your funnel, whether purchase a product to fix all this, or sign up for an account, or give you your emails for an ebook, or whatever the case might be. You're bringing them to a page that has a single focus. So let me just say real quick, it's not going to be your homepage. That's probably the worst spend that you can do on your money, is you're bringing people to a homepage and they're like, oh great, here's another business, but now I've got to go find my solution. Whereas if you know you're advertising something about, you know, deck treatment, don't bring them to the homepage of your local Ace store. Bring them to the deck treatment category or a specific product, you know, that you recommend for deck treatment. Then the third thing, so there's Facebook, there's Google, then there's the third thing that's called retargeting. Some people call it remarketing, but it's basically somebody who's visited your site, whether it came through an ad or through local SEO or through whatever, they were on your website, set a cookie, and then have ads follow them around the web, whether that be on, some blog they're reading, some news site that they're, or you can actually have them follow them around on Facebook. And you can actually have them follow around on YouTube, which gets really creepy because I had a guy, these are all creepy. They can be if you do it well. But I had a guy specifically call me out. Hey, I know you watched my video because you didn't skip that ad. Now, how come you didn't buy my product? And I was like, whoa, you're right. I did watch your video, and I didn't skip the ad, and I really don't want your product, but it was really incredibly well-done advertising. So you have these basic 3 different categories. You can talk about YouTube in there. That kind of fits under the Facebook model. And by the way, video ads on Facebook are outperforming everything right now. So if you do a selfie video of you, stick your camera, your phone in a selfie stick, plug your earbuds in so that you get good audio, and then talk into the camera and record yourself and use that as an ad. Make it short, keep it simple, straight to the point. What is the pain point? Is it that you're going to do for them? Why should they click on your ad? But those can save you a lot of money right now versus what's easier is text ads or image ads. Video ads definitely save a lot of money. So that's one real quick hint, whether that's on YouTube or on Facebook. Facebook by far is the cheapest right now with video ads.
All right. Well, some great pointers. Sorry that we have to call it right now, but we have a lot more to talk about, and again, we'll be doing a part 2, but I really appreciate your time today. Paul, I think we covered a lot of good pointers. I think, at least I really, really hope that we put some people at least thinking about some various opportunities available to them and some tactics within those, and I believe you definitely gave those. So how can people continue to learn from you and pick up other pointers here?
They can find me over at connexdigitalmarketing.com, and you can send me an email, paul@connexdigitalmarketing.com, but you can find out all kinds of information there, sign up for our email list, and see the products and services that we offer over there.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate your time, Paul, and really looking forward to part 2, and until next time.